Greetings, it's Hugh Ballou. My special guest today is my dear friend and colleague, Shannon Gronich. And Shannon and I have been, we've known each other at least 10 years. We met at a CEO Space event and have had casual conversations. In the last few years, Shannon has invited me to be a presenter at the Business Acceleration Summit in Melbourne, Florida. And whoa, has that been a power-packed event. But I've learned more and more about Shannon's multiple gifts. Today's topic is how social entrepreneurs get publicity. Whoa, we do great stuff and nobody knows about it. Well, let's tell people. Shannon, welcome.
Thank you so much. And how to get free publicity, which is what I'm really excited about.
Oh, so give us some background. You're talking about a topic and people always want to know, why is this person qualified to talk about this? Give us a little bit of background on yourself. I could read a bio or something, but it's much more fun to hear from the person themselves. So tell us about you.
So I love events. I've produced close to 400 events, and in the process of doing events, I learned how to really work with the media, what they're looking for stories. Came up with a simple system to be able to attract. I've gotten over $3 million in free publicity, and developed a simple system that anybody can do the same. You don't have to be a copywriter. You don't even have to be a good writer. It's something that when you use this format, it is a great way to attract publicity.
How many dollars? $3 million in free publicity.
Free press, yes.
And you've produced 400 events. That's mind-boggling. That's impressive. So, and people actually come and attend these events, I assume.
Yes, we've had thousands of people come and attend some of the events that I've done. So,
well, that would tell me that this publicity thing works. So let's get into your topic. So I'm a small business owner. I work by myself and I have lots of good stuff and I have great social media, but I'm not sure I make it work really well. I also have a charity. I run a nonprofit and do lots of good stuff. I'm not sure I get the publicity I deserve there. So what are the problems that you see with small business owners, social entrepreneurs?
It's exactly what you just shared, is that you have these two amazing projects that you're working on, and it's actually getting media attention, but also getting what they're using existing to amplify and attract more. A lot of times businesses are spending so much time working their business that they don't take time on marketing. And I always tell people, if you're not getting the results you want, look at some of these key components, one being your press kit, spending more time on your marketing, because I know that one of my events, when we first cracked this code, we were getting 500 attendees, and once we cracked that code, the next time it went to 2,000 attendees. We had all the media in our area pick it up. The story was awesome. People did different variations, and so that type of impact, it took time. It took dealing with rejection, because we had a number of people say, no, we didn't read it. No, I'm not the right department. You have to be okay with following up. But as you can hear, to go from 500 to 2,000, that was absolutely worth that energy to put it in and get such a high return.
Amazing. Amazing. Usually I'm told from marketers that you need to spend marketing money equal to $100 a person to get people there. So you're telling me there's another model.
There's another model, yeah. And if you're spending, one of the things that I hear from people, there's a couple challenges. They hire a publicist, which I love publicists. I think that there's a lot that they can do. They hire a publicist and they don't get the results they want. So I'm really big on empowering people to learn some of the tools, the language, so that when they hire somebody or when they're sending out a piece, that they know it's going to get results. Because at the end of the day, it's all about the results that you're going to get. The second thing is also, as you said, spending that, they're spending the money, but spending the time. Because really, if you turn some of that into time, taking time getting on the phone, taking time developing the story, having conversations with the media, selling them, and again, not giving them too much information, but putting this together, that the results, I've seen people spend, a lot less on their marketing and many times get free press.
Wow. Wow. Now, I have a copy of your book on this. What is the title of that book? I can't remember.
Media Magic, How to Attract Limitless Radio, TV, Print, Publicity.
That's a pretty good book. I mean, that's a very good book. It gives me some thoughts on things I had no clue about. How can people get Media Magic?
They can go to Shannon Gronich, GRONICH.com, or if they get it on Amazon, both on my website and and Amazon, if you send me the receipt from Amazon, I actually give everybody a interview with Jay Abraham's ghostwriter, who's also a contributor in the book. And if you don't know who Jay Abraham is, he gets paid 6 figures a day to go into corporations and deal with their marketing and their marketing strategy. And so his ghostwriter, who's also been in all areas of publicity, is sharing copywriting secrets, language for prosperity, and I give that away for free for anybody that gets the book.
Wow. Jay Abraham is legendary. That's great. Ghostwriter, that means that person has to think within their brain and write for them. That's really good. That's really good. Shannon, and we'll link to that underneath this video, and on the podcast, we'll link to that in the show notes. Okay. And remind people you go to hughballoopodcast.com to find the different links for the different shows, and then the notes are there. So shannongronich.com. Now, part of my problem in publicizing is people want to know who I am and what do I do. Now, what do you have to say about being, and part of what I help people think through for themselves, which I can't do for myself, is who we are as a leader, a person of influence. So defining ourselves is an important paradigm, isn't it?
Yes, so that's actually the first step. And Hugh, I think you're really fortunate. The first step when I'm working with somebody is developing what I call an expert power bio. We have our bios, we have our resumes, but really an expert power bio is what makes you stand out and sizzle and have the media pay attention. And Hugh, with you being in Forbes magazine, your years of success, some of your clients, like you have a lot of the key components to stand out as an expert. I know when you were coming to town, anytime I say he's been featured in Forbes, that adds instant credibility. And some people that might be listening to this say, well, I don't have that success. Well, what's great about this expert power bio system is that you can actually, I've had 20-year-olds, I've had people that come out of a job starting a nonprofit or a new business. There is a way to create sizzle to your bio, or even use association with somebody that you've learned from or you're trained with to help you stand out. So that's one of the first things that people look at. Now, Hugh, you're in a unique, because you're teaching leadership, right? And people, especially with nonprofits or business, you're in a industry that I think, at least with your press releases, the first thing is developing the tagline that sizzles. Like, what is the benefit of leadership? We have to look at that end in mind, or what's the story we're going to tell? I found that there's 3 things, and there's all kinds of things with media. You can look at negative news, you can talk about politics, but there's 3 things that I really focus on with everybody that I find the media loves. One is human interest. They love hearing, you've been a music conductor, Hugh, and that story that you tell together, maybe somewhere where you've overcome adversity. They also community give back. If you're involved in the community, and I know your listeners, a lot of them have nonprofits, that's easy for them. They have human interest and community give back. And then the third thing is education. So those are the 3 things that I focus on with individuals that I find is really easy when you've crafted a story and to get the media to print. That's what they look for.
Wow. Do you have a checklist or something about that somewhere?
I do. Yeah, my book is actually a workbook. If you look at it, you can write in it, you can scribble in it. I give you, I wanted people to get into action. Anything I do, I'm like, okay, let's get into action. Kind of like you do the same thing.
Well, what I heard you say is we need to focus on results.
Yeah.
And when I did my first speaker one sheet, and then I sent it to this advertising company that specializes in one sheets, and I sent it, and I had a call with the chairman, and then he says, "This is all about you." And I went, uh-oh, I don't like the tone of this. Well, it needs to be about them. And yes, I work on leadership. However, that word gets people stuck in a rut. So I try to communicate what happens. What they don't buy leadership, they buy results. But it is through leadership that we make a difference. So how to present that? And you're so right. People want to know, what am I going to get out of this? Bob Circosta, our friend that sold $6 billion or $10 billion on TV, he says the WSGAT. What's so good about that? We have to define the benefits of it. So the book, Media Magic, go shannongronich.com or go on to Amazon and get it. It's been a while. I need to pull that out and reread it because you're reminding me of things that I know, but I'm not using. So let's go back to other tips for, by the way, if you're in Florida or you want to go to Florida in the winter, January, it's a good excuse to go to the Business Acceleration Summit, which is the website, businessaccelerationsummit.com. I'll be there and a lot of other thought leaders, and it's a life-changing couple of days. Doesn't take you a long time, but a lot of power packed into that. And send a commercial for that, but it's where Shannon and I connect with people and share useful information with lots of people. So what are some other tips that you want to provide? Oh, the Power Bio. How do we do a Power Bio? You were talking about bio.
Yeah, and I'm actually, I would love to offer that for free. Again, if they go to the website, shannongronich.com. I used to only give this to my clients, but then I realized it's one of the most difficult things that people that have to do is write about themselves. Like it's a challenge to write about themselves. It's a challenge to, many times talk about themselves. So I decided to just give it away for free. So my 12-step, I should actually change it to 13-step because there is a 13th step and people are kidding around going, oh, I'm joining a 12-step program. But I had somebody say that today. They go, I need to remember because the 13th step, which isn't on there, but I do, share in a follow-up email, is a list of clients. Because one time I had shannongronich.com. One time I had a woman that I was working with, and she was struggling with, she wanted to double her prices. She had a lot of clients. She was kind of at that place of really working herself overtime, but needed to go to that next level. And so we worked on her Power Bio. And when I started looking at her work, first off, she was amazing, but she came from a job. Well, in her job, her exclusive account for like 3 or 4 years was Delta. And so I asked her, can we use Delta, by listing her clients of who she worked with? I said, can we list Delta? And sure enough, she could. And that just adding Delta as one of her clients or accounts to her bio, made her doubling her prices a lot easier for new clients. So it was really, really great. Power Bio is essential. And I think it's one of those things that people should really spend time on. Now, the free press is the system that I use is just a one-page, a tagline that sizzles, again, talking about the results for the individuals. I'll share a secret with you that you can use the next time you go shopping.
Okay.
This one's kind of funny. A lot of times when people send me press releases, even firms and stuff, it's an announcing this new employee, announcing this event. And I just haven't found that to work. The most successful press release that I had about an event, the tagline or the title was 85 Ways to Improve Your Health in 6 Hours or Less.
Whoa.
We had 85 booths and it was a 6-hour event. So that's how we came up with that tagline. And so numbers are really essential. Those stand out above everything else. So when you go shopping next time, look at Oprah, look at Cosmo, look at these magazines. They have spent billions of dollars in seeing what taglines will get people to buy magazines and read their articles. They're all short, sweet, and many times they have numbers. So take those and fill in, what can you put in? It could be secrets to, 7 steps to. I had one, and this doesn't just apply for your press release. I found that if you're doing a workshop title or an email that you want to get opened, all of these principles can be kind of universal in marketing. But I had an event that I purchased a number of years ago, and they were doing meditation. They'd been at the event for 6 years, and it was like Ashtanga yoga meditation or something. And they had a hard time getting people to come to the event. So we changed the title to how to attain inner peace in 10 minutes or less, and the classroom filled up. So
that is that's worth this whole call right there. Because we're guilty of making announcements. And even I'm thinking this whole principle would be really good, the Power Bio for your About Me page on your website.
Yeah.
And as well as, where else would they use the Power Bio?
Yeah, so what I was just sharing with the tagline is for the press release, but the Power Bio, Hugh, I use it with my proposals. I use it with anywhere that I want people to pay attention and I don't want to be talking about myself. Does that make sense? Like anytime I'm sending out, proposal or any of that stuff is really doubled my conversion. And I know you can use it with grants. They want to know who your team is. If I'm going into an event, like people have hired me to do event consulting, and if it's a first-year event, a lot of times people question, can they pull this off? Well, when you have somebody on your team that's produced 400 events, it kind of takes that up. So your whole team in your nonprofit should develop a Power Bio.
Well, the jump back to the bio was that when you send out a press release, I'm assuming there's something about me in the press release.
I know.
Oh, blow up that whole assumption. Go for it.
No. Now there are many ways. There's not a right or wrong here. There are many ways. In an AP, Associated Press, a lot of times people do put something about themselves. I have found that if you want free publicity, it cannot look like advertising. So I may attach a bio as a separate thing, a separate attachment, but when I send the press release, it is strictly about the story. How I position myself or you, Hugh, as an expert in the Power Bio is there's a certain place, and I share this in the book, I'm happy to tell you now, but we quote you as an expert. So, and you do the quote, and then you say, Hugh Ballou, leadership expert, and then end quote, we finish it. So it's a neat formula of how that works. But even that, Hugh, I would not say founder of Center Vision. I would do Forbes because Forbes is a big name. I would say something about Forbes, but for me, I just say, author, event, really low key titles, basic titles, because the idea with this is you want the press to interview you. You want them to be telling the story about you. And so if you are marketing you, they're like, oh, this person just wants free advertising.
Wow. That's blown up an old paradigm that I had, and it makes so much sense. So it's okay to add another sheet as the bio.
I would keep them separate. I wouldn't attach it to the press release. I would actually send it as two separate attachments, or just a small in the body of the email. I know when and again, Hugh, this can also be used to get speaking gigs. Your Power Bio, when you send in that information, you can do your speaking gigs. There's a lot of things that you can use this material for.
That's awesome, because a lot of people want more speaking gigs. And I'm thinking so the Power Bio, so we're talking about the press release, which is a whole different format. So you go over that in your book. You're also doing one of your biannual events, a Media Magic? Is that what your day is on November 5th?
It's Media Magic Sales and Marketing Intensive. So we're actually working on your Power Bio. You leave there with your Power Bio. You leave there with your press release. And I've brought in some experts. I've got a woman that's featured in regular contributor for Huffington Post, Yahoo News. I have somebody else that's been on the Today Show. So I bring in other experts, but this is an intensive where we work on your media kit and work on, even we have a website expert that comes in and looks at, how do we help your website be converting? And
I know that website expert. He's very good. He started with marketing and then did websites, or vice versa. I don't know, but he does both. So the websites aren't just a pretty picture. They actually convert. So that's the whole message I'm getting here. We tend to send out messages that don't convert. and we want to know how many people are going to come and buy our products or join our charity or come to our events. And I'm thinking there's a lot of things that I see churches and charities do way wrong. Is exactly what you're talking about here. They just send an announcement, and there's really no compelling reason to want to go. And they don't get it because they know the reason, but they didn't share it with anybody. It reminds me of the TED Talk by Simon Sinek, Begin with Why. And so you're coming from that perspective of, here's what you're going to get. You just hit them in the face and interrupt their thinking because people are expecting the boring announcement. Instead, they're getting a, pay attention, a line here. So the Power Bio could be a separate piece, or in your press release, could you link to About Hugh?
Yes,
could you link
absolutely.
to that? Okay.
Yeah.
So then they could choose to go and find out more too.
Yes.
So that About Me page usually is done very poorly as an afterthought when really that's the lead piece, like you're pointing out. This is establishing your position of influence in my world. Now, there's also a segue with social media. I see lots of bad things in the form of an announcement, and people are selling you before they even know who they are. And so I'm thinking this whole concept could be a power concept for social media. You want to address that? It's free publicity. You want to address that separately?
Yeah, I think that everything we do, we want to be mindful of the language that we're using. And another expert that we're actually bringing to the upcoming intensive, he's actually a sales expert that has went into timeshares and hotels and has a heart of gold. And he has been able to crack the code based upon different personalities. And this is different than anything else. But one of the things, just to share this key thing, he said, out of the 17 different personalities, there's the two top dividers, and that's head and heart. And so in marketing, and I love he uses the Aflac, how Aflac brings in the heart, but also saves time, which is head, time and money. So he says when we look at marketing, if you can at least hit those two touch points, then you can hit more of the masses. But for me, like I speak about community and heart stuff and human interest, and I will lose people because I may not talk about how to save money and how to increase revenue and more of the head things. So we really need to combine the two in any of the marketing that we're doing. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I'm thinking of the Aflac duck.
Yes.
Or goose or whatever that is. You just got that thing that comes to your mind, and it's really top of mind marketing. People think about it, and we also don't spend time building understanding who we are and build a relationship with people, and then we hammer them. Know my event. You promote my event. Well, why should I do that? We don't have a relationship with people, so there's a whole different conversation around that. Well, we're coming close to our time here. We're going to wrap, but. This is extremely valuable information, and I want to make sure that we don't send people down a foxhole. So let's give them some clear directions. The Media Magic 1-day intensive, is that on Shannon Gronich, or where can they can find out?
Yes, they can find that on Shannon Gronich under events too. ShannonGronich.com under events. And I want to make sure I talked one more thing too before we go really quick. But everything can be found on ShannonGronich.com or even BusinessAccelerationSummit.com.
Good.
I just wanted to, the real magic formula that I think of this is, yes, the language and what we say, but for me, it is, you brought it up, Hugh, it's the relationships and talking to people. How I've been able to get millions of dollars in free press is talking to the media. I don't just send it out and expect them to pick it up. It involves emails, phone calls, and as I said in the beginning, expecting them to say no and having the vision of following up. My biggest success, I was rejected over 10 times. And no, we didn't get it. No, we didn't read it. No, it's not a fit. And I tweaked it a little bit. And at the very end, and usually I don't give up until the magazine goes to print or I know it's done, right? I know that each time I just have to keep working with it and being nice, really building that relationship with them. But the editor ended up calling me and saying, we have a remnant space, and gave me an entire page
Whoa.
in the magazine. So it's really key to pick up the phone and not say too much. Use that tagline that sizzles. And I say, I have a story that you might be interested in. I have a piece that might be great for your readers. I'm coming to you first, letting you know, and making it about their readers and having them ask questions. Because if you fire hose them, then that's a little too much. So that's why the tagline, the sizzles, maybe a couple of stats of the challenge of the problem you're solving, and then just get them engaging and asking questions.
That is awesome. You may not remember, but I owned a camera store in St. Pete, Florida, and I built out a very substantial footprint in providing film and chemistry and paper and whatnot for all the photo labs in industry, police departments, newspapers, the whole city of St. Pete, et cetera. So I built that by relationship, exactly what you talked about. I got to know people, went to visit them, I had something novel to talk about, and they'd say, oh, by the way, do you sell this? And say, yeah, oh, we need some of that. And so it's really about connecting with people, and you've helped us set a new paradigm. And I'm bad as a business person in understanding that. I teach people to think that way, but this is a good reminder for me. But in my charity and in charities I work with, we think because we have a worthy cause, people should print it. When really they don't have a lack of and people sending them stuff. Yeah. So we want to stand out from the crowd and create a compelling reason. So people can find out about all of these things you're talking about at Shannon Gronich, ShannonGronich.com. And it's not really commercial. You're giving free stuff and you're giving people information on how to get free publicity. And I'm doing an event the day you're doing your next intensive for Media Magic, but it's in Florida. And that's a good reason to go to Florida in this time of year. And then the Business Acceleration Summit. There are many good reasons for people to go check out your information, because you give away, like I do, you give away a lot of free stuff.
We want to help so many people.
And you do. And this is a helpful interview. And I'm grateful to have you as a colleague and friend, and that we collaborate on a lot of events together. So as we come to a wrap here, thinking about, I want you to think about a tip you'd like to leave people with: free publicity. How do you get the world to pay attention to what the important things are that you're doing? What's a parting thought that you have for people?
Well, it is that every single one of us has a story. And I've found, Hugh, that every business, every individual has at least 50 stories that somebody wants to hear about and somebody wants to know about, that's either inspiring, educational, uplifting. There is not a lack of inspiration in each cause or individual. It just takes time and energy and effort. And it's not much. Like, you can literally do this in a short period of time of sharing that with the world and sharing that with others and standing up and letting people know, because even adversity can be turned into a way of moving people to take action.
Great advice. Shannon Gronich, ShannonGronich.com. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with people today, especially with me. Thank you so much.
Thank you.